find that a lot of people are not 100% sure what their options are if they're looking, at foreclosure, or they have, missed some payments or whatever. So tell us a little bit about what those options could be, and maybe like some scenarios in which people, short sales would be the right option for them.
Okay, well, short sales, when the lender, whoever's holding your mortgage, says, okay, I'll let you sell the house for less than what's owed against it. And that's really what it is. So you're selling short of what's owed. And so the best situations with short sale is if you are just a couple payments behind and you just started a new job, the lenders will work with you. Sometimes they'll put those on the back. Sometimes they can give you a forbearance for the missed payments. That is the option to take if that's what you're facing. If you're facing a situation where you have to sell the house for whatever reason, whether you're getting a divorce, whether you're being relocated, and you owe more on the house than it will bring on the open market, short sale is your best option, because the other option is you're going to have to bring money to the table, which I've had that happen before. I had a lady that had a condominium in Silver Spring Shores. She purchased it at the height of the market in 2008. She was renting it and still not breaking even. She was tired of throwing her own money at this condo that she had absolutely was not going to move into. And she ended up bringing money to the table. So when it was sold for market value, it wasn't enough to pay off the mortgage. So she had to take her own money and bring it to the closing to get rid of the condo. If you can't do that, then you are in a short sale situation. I'll give you an example. If you've lost your job, you're sick, life happens to everybody. It just does. We just can't always, we think we've planned for the future, but maybe that future is bigger than we ever thought it would be, in a negative way. And yet the house is just not worth it. Maybe you bought it in the height a couple of years ago and you ended up in a bidding war and had to pay, $50,000 more than the house is worth today. And you have to move, or you're getting a divorce and you have to sell the house. You could foreclose it, let the bank have it back, deed in lieu, right? You sign a deed in lieu and the bank takes the back and they stick a foreclosure on your credit report. And now you can't buy a house for probably close to 7 years. Short sale, it's 2 years. You won't be able to purchase a home for 2 years, but if you maintain your credit in every other way, there's no reason in 2 years that you won't be able to buy another home. So that's in my opinion, that is a much better option. The other option is I had a lady, she owed more on the house than the house was worth. The county, right here in Marion County, took the house for road. Well, she owed more than it was worth. She chose to just let it go back in foreclosure because she said, I'm not going to be able to live in the house anyway. So it was a kind of a strange situation. There's so many different variables to this. I've had a short sale where the lady, she couldn't afford to repair the home. She owed. I tried to get her what she owed, at least to get out of the home, but the market wouldn't bear it. And the amount of repairs that were needed were just way too much. And we short sold it. So it's just a variety of things. I had a man with a reverse mortgage. His wife had passed away. They had done a reverse mortgage. The payment was more than he could bear on his own. I tried to sell the property for the amount that the reverse mortgage to cover all of that. The market wouldn't bring it. So we filed and applied for short sale with the lender, and we ended up short selling it, and he got out from under the payment. The house went away. He didn't have to worry about it. It actually was a horse farm that this happened to. So it can be a host of things. The other thing that happens is liens. Some people get IRS liens. The lady with the road problem, that was the biggest problem she had. She had an IRS lien on that house. She couldn't pay off the IRS lien. There was no way there was enough money in that house for that. So she just let the bank have it back, but she could have tried to short sell it, but I don't think IRS would have allowed that. But maybe they would have taken it's an option. Maybe it could have been negotiated for them to get less too. So it is that simple, really. It's not that simple to make it happen. Now, you do need an experienced agent. You need a group of people, including attorney, that is well vested in the process, because it can get crazy sometimes. The banks, they'll come up with all kinds of stuff. Like, I actually had one refuse mortgage insurance. The company that was holding the mortgage insurance refused the short sale. So the bank ended up foreclosing it. They couldn't afford the payment. It was just, and it had too many repair issues. It was not worth it. So it has a lot of variables, but the only thing is if they refuse the short sale, if the lender says no, you end up in a foreclosure. So it's worth trying. You're going to stay in the house as long as you want to while we're going through this. I've had short sales take 6-8 months. You're not making a payment for 6-8 months. So just think about that. It's worth trying it, because at the very end of the day, what's the worst thing that can happen? Foreclosure. You're going to end up foreclosed anyway if you can't sell the house, or you can't make the payments, or whatever your life has led you at this point. It just does happen pretty often, more than you think, I think. And a lot of people don't realize that the option is available, and they don't realize that they don't have to do anything, and it doesn't cost them anything.
That's definitely something that I've realized more, like talking about short sales, when people are like, well, I didn't even know that was even a possibility. I would think I'd rather do that than, have to deal with my credit being bad for possibly 7 years or more, depending on, how things go. Now, can you kind of run through start to finish what the process would look like? I know there's a lot of variables that go into it, but, I'm sure there is a set standard on from beginning to end, kind of what that looks like.
Oh, sure. Yeah. They all kind of go the same way. There is actually a whole packet that has to be completed that, like the lady that usually uses MIT Pros, and she is the short sale specialist. She is a mitigator for this. She knows exactly what she's doing. And she gives me the packet, because every lender might have a different it's going to look similar, but it probably is different, because every lender is going to look a little different, and different types of loans, FHA, VA, reverse mortgage, that's a whole nother loan. But it's a packet, and you have to have all your finances. They want to know how much debt you have, what's your income. They ask all kinds. It's like filling out a financial statement. Basically, that's what it is. So that's the first thing we do. And then once that is done and turned in, and then the mitigator process that with the lender to get them to allow the short sale. Once the lender says, yes, we will consider a short sale, then I will put it on the market for a reduced price. That's how you get people to start coming. People are always looking for a bargain. And investors, it's typically that's who buys short sales, because it takes so long. And people don't want to wait. If you want to move in, it takes a while. If you need a place to live right away. So, not that they can't buy or they don't, but mostly it's investors. And a lot of times the houses are in disrepair because these people have been struggling financially for a long time. So you'll find the homes need maintenance. They need repairs and things like that, because they're just in financial straits at the time. Once that paperwork is done and the house goes on the market, all the property owner has to do is just wait. Myself and the mitigator, we do all the rest of the work. There may be some time that you need to fill out another form. Maybe that they're asking for something different, those kind of things. But it's just going to be paperwork kind of stuff. There's really nothing else to do but that. I had a short sale that it had a massive water leak. It was water leak. It needed completely replumbed. It got sold just like that. So those are it's pretty easy for the seller. The property owner really just has to wait. Now, one time I had one where the guy had to go and show up for the foreclosure hearing at the county. So I went with him, and I explained that we were in the middle of a short sale, blah, 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 to the judge. And They dismissed the case. So the judge said, no, I'm not going to grant the foreclosure at this time. That would only happen one time. I can't think of another time that something like that happened. But it can happen. But usually it's pretty simple. The seller just waits.
Okay.
And waits for me and the short sale specialist to take care of it. And she'll call me and say they want a broker opinion. They want, which is like a mini appraisal. Okay. Once we go under contract, they'll send out a realtor to do a broker opinion, and they'll come up with a number that they think the house is worth based on the condition. These lenders have no idea what's going on, like that one with the water leak. They had no idea that house had a major water leak. So, those kind of things matter. And once that happens, then they just decide. It takes a while because you got to go through the process, and everybody's got to touch it. And, it's bureaucracy like you can't believe. But eventually it gets there. But you can figure 6 months.
About 6 months?
Yes.
Okay, that's the typical
That's a typical time, yeah. It
Okay.
takes about 6 months. But heck, you're living in the house and you're not paying for it because, you can't. So a lot of people don't mind.
And now who pays for what is there any cost to the seller?
No, not to the seller.
Not to the seller.
The lender pays the realtors that are involved, and the buyer pays the mitigator. So the MIT Pros gets paid by the buyer. There is a buyer's premium on the house. So like if the house is let's say 65,000, there'll be a fee, whatever MIT Pros' fee is, will be to the buyer. So the property owner does not pay 1 cent.
Yeah, so that's why it's such a good option if you're able
especially if you're in a financial straits. Like what else? It's a good option.
Yeah, because if you don't have the money to pay us to be able to sell your property, and you have a big gap there, which I know a lot of people between taxes going up, insurance going up,
right,
and also just
maybe some old liens that are on there. Maybe you had a roof that you didn't pay for. There's just all kinds of things that get on houses.
But I think right now most people I think I hear. But some of the issues would be would be that taxes have gone up, because I know they're talking about raising them again this year, and and insurance continues to go up.
Oh yeah, it's going to continue,
and it hasn't stopped. And then people kind of bought at towards the height of the market, so that combination is it can be tough if you really weren't expecting it to go up as much as it did. Even my property taxes on my house, and I bought it when the market was just starting to peak. At probably going up to the highest part of it. My taxes went from $1,500 a year to now I think it's like $2,700 a year, something like that, or pushing close to that. And it keeps going up.
Right? Yeah. No. People do. It gets sometimes you don't see those life challenges coming, and you felt like you were comfortable enough to take this on, and something happened.
Yeah.
Right. Somebody got sick. Somebody died. That was a foreclosure. Twice I had, they were facing foreclosure because their spouse had passed away, and now they were living on one income.
Yeah.
And they couldn't afford the property. That happened 2 times, and I short sold them. That's just part of life.
And I think a lot of people are nervous too with AI. That's affecting the job market too, with people that are doing marketing and advertising and stuff like that. Their jobs are either being replaced or they are experiencing some type of demotion because they no longer need them to do those same jobs.
Right. I think that's happening a lot.
Yeah, no, I definitely think...
Because the software and stuff that's come out is pretty amazing with that. It's kind of it's like, TV repairman. You just have a TV repairman everywhere. Now you don't.
There's always some transitions going on, so...
For the short sale, I think if you can save your home, you need to try to save it. Some people just get behind. They've tripped a little bit for some reason. If you can get that and put it on the back, as long as it's not too much, because they charge you penalties and interest when they put it on the back. You're paying for that. I've seen some people have forbearances, and it is huge because during COVID, they took the forbearance. Those things are going to start coming due now. And if the equity is not there to cover it, you got a problem. If you can't continue to pay for it, and wait for the equity to build in it again, then short sale is a much better option than a foreclosure. It's just better. And ultimately, if they refuse the short sale, let's say we get to the end, it's happened before, there's no guarantees in this. If we get to the end and at the end they say, no way, I'm not taking that amount of money for this property, then you're right back to where you were before we ever tried it. But you're going to get a foreclosure. Nobody wants one, but it happens sometimes. And it doesn't always, they don't always agree with it. And right now, I was talking to the lady that works with me on these, with MIP Pros. They are experiencing some lenders that are really not willing. The lenders themselves think there's equity in the properties. These properties that are going to end up in foreclosure, I can tell you, the lenders are taking them back thinking somebody's telling them there's this, whoever it is that they're relying on, that there is equity in these properties, that it is in their best interest to take them back. I think they're going to be sorry they did that.
Probably.
Because I see the market going the other way. And that's just all there is to it. I don't care what happens in our political climate. I don't really care what happens abroad. I see real estate going the other direction. It just is. It's like any other market. It's going to have its ups and its downs. I don't think it's going to crash like 2008. But if they go ahead and I did hear a real estate expert the other day on one of the news business channels, and they were saying that home prices continue to go up, but the public continues to avoid the sale to buy it. So there's no way that can continue. There's only one thing that can happen. When you don't have a buying public and you need to sell your property, you're going to need to lower the price. I just had an appraisal come in $20,000 under.
And they had a buyer that was willing to pay for it.
The buyer was willing to pay for it, but when the appraisal came back, it came back $20,000 under almost.
So, I think we're going to have more appraisals come in short. I think we're going that way.
I think it is. I really think it is. And so, I would say if you are close to being in that situation, if you think that you're going to end up there, you might want to consider selling now to avoid that situation in the future, because I do see prices dropping. I see the builders, they're offering lots of incentives, like $20,000.
Yeah, and they can take that money and put it on. So, let's say if you have enough cash for closing costs, you can take that $20,000 and put it right on top of the price of the home. Where before, that flex cash only applied to just the either closing costs, or you could do a rate buy down, and you couldn't put it to the top of the home. But now they will allow you to put those incentives on top of the home, which is going to make the value go down. You're dropping it 15 to 20 grand.
Yeah. So I see that, the more you see them coming up with incentives for people to buy homes, the more the price is going to come down. It's going to come down.
I know, because D.R. Horton now, these houses, their Cali model, which is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, that's I think it's 1,500 square feet. That same house last year was selling for $350, $370, something like that. And now you can buy it for a little bit under $300. Or
that's a significant change.
Yeah, $303, under $315, I would say, with the $20,000 in closing costs and rate buy. It's just the incentives are never ending.
Yeah, I see that a lot, but I don't think that they can't drop the rates enough. I don't think so. No. Not to spur that buying, because the buying public, there's just this disconnect between buyer and seller. It is a huge disconnect. And right now, sellers just don't want to hear it. But there's plenty of people that are going to end up there, because if they continue with these job numbers, if the economy continues with these job numbers, it's a problem.
Yeah, because 70% of people my age and young millennial and Gen Z who are just now going in the workforce are worried that they're going to lose their job in the next year.
Yeah, that's what.
And so that's the age groups. I'm
that's the majority 30. Of the buyers.
Yeah, I'm pushing 30. The average person that buys a home is somewhere between 30 and 35 in America. So I'm
right.
And I'm the oldest of Gen Z. So younger millennials are there already. And if they feel like they can't purchase a home, then we have the largest grouping.
Yeah,
that aren't going to be purchasing.
There's 80 million millennials or something like that.
It's a large number. Yeah,
it's a huge number. That is 87% of the buying public in real estate is coming in, buying their first home, or maybe their second, but definitely their first home.
Yeah.
That is the majority of the buyers. And so if they are unsure of their jobs, then they're probably not going to buy. And therefore, if you are in a home where you owe more than it will come on the market, you are absolutely in a short sale position.
That, and also with the new NAR changes too, with that's making things, actually, I mean,
I don't see it much different.
I haven't seen anything change. Every property that I have done has done it, but
more paperwork. That's
more paperwork, but maybe they're not experiencing that everywhere. I don't know. More competitive markets, they may be having to bring more money to the table. I don't really know how that's gonna, it might affect them more. Here in Marion County, anyway, most of every house that I've requested to show, they're all offering, the standard of house.
I haven't run into any problem with it either. No. It seems to be, I think the experienced listing agent, people need to, I see a lot of stuff flying around out there on social media from realtors, and they have listing agents that aren't very savvy because they're not offering and they're getting no showings. It's like you're doing a disservice to your customer, to your client. You're doing a disservice because, let's face it, there's 3,000 or 4,000 realtors in Marion County. The chances of one selling the house is slim.
You just don't know enough people.
No, you can't. I mean, and social media helps, but it's still not,
Perfect.
Because other people have got realtors that they like to work with or whatever, these buyers. I don't really see that doing anything to the market.
No.
It did stop it for a little bit, but I think the buyers are, everybody's pretty savvy. They get on the computer, they read everything to figure out what is this buyer agent document and what does that mean. And it kind of stopped there for a little while during that initial part when they were getting ready to implement all that. But I think now.
Yeah, I think going into September, it'll pick up again and not be in.
No, I don't think it is.
No.
Because sellers are not foolish either. They know, if you want to sell your home quickly, and let's just face it, houses are not selling quickly. No. We got used to that.
We did get used to it. And short sales, I think, will be.
I think they're coming back, unfortunately, because it means it's kind of it's not a good thing. It's not, the person that finds themselves in that position is not a good thing. No. But the main thing is you got to get people that know what they're doing.
And there's a lot of new agents out there that don't have your experience, to help back me up. And also, you've done them. When you first started in real estate, there was a lot of them.
Right.
That's still.
And I chose to, hook up with MIT Pros, find out, learn about them, exactly what is involved in it. And so I wasn't afraid of them. I jumped right in and said, okay, let me see what I can do. So I feel pretty secure, and like I said, I talked to MIT Pros, and nothing's really changed other than the banks are acting like they've got, a pot of gold, but that gold's going to tarnish.
And they've also been doing it for quite some time as well.
Oh yeah. MIT Pros, I think, has been doing this probably almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Well,
they started with the crash.
Yeah, that's what I was going to be like.
That's when they first started short sales. MIT Pros was on board, and they have attorneys that are just as, they've been doing this for a long time, and they do a great job.
Yeah. Well, if you guys have any questions or any concerns or anything regarding short sales, again, I think it's a solid option to at least try, like you were talking about, if you find yourself in that predicament. So feel free to give us a call or to send either one of us a message, and we'll get back to you and see if we can help you figure out the best option.
Just give a call and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And that, just talking about it, you may say, no, this isn't for me. But feel free to give us a call if you find yourself in this position. Don't be embarrassed. Hey, life happens. People, it is not constant. Life has happened to me. Life has happened to her. Life happens, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Let's see if I can help you get out of your problem with the least amount of problems for the future.
Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the beauty of the short sale, is that if it is accepted and you can get your home sold, it's 2 years instead of that 7. And
that's
that 7 really can can create a bigger spiral than what you had before.
Yes, definitely. 2 years is nothing to.
It probably will take you that long to get you back on your feet. Anyway,
right.
And so by the time you're ready to get going and really getting life back to where you were before, your credit will be, things will be okay.
Right. You'll be fine. It's just a 2-year little gap in home ownership.
Yeah.
Think of it that way.
Which is still a better option than the 7
years. Oh yeah, definitely. A foreclosure on your is It is a
It's
huge
devastating.
problem. It is a huge problem for buying anything.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you for watching.
Yes.